Welcome to the Nightly Entrepreneur. My name is Daniel Klein. It is great having you here. If this is your first time here, welcome. If this is your second or more time here, welcome back. So tonight we're talking with the wonderful Marc Dawson, who's written a fantastic blog post on josephstudios.net about time management. Marc, what's going on, dude?
Hey everybody, how's it going? A lot of things are going on. We have a lot of projects between Joseph Studios and Rush Studios Media at this time, but tonight we're going to talk about time management, which is very important if you're starting a business or you have a business. Daniel and I deal with this every day. Look, if you work 40 hours a week, you've got to commute, you got kids, you got ball practice, all that other stuff, Pilates class, dance recitals, home repairs. And if you find time, if you're married, to go on an occasional date, or if you're not married, to go on an occasional date, when do you have time to start a business? When do you have time to run your business? And this is such a common barrier that stands in the way of achieving your dreams. This is easily the number one reason why businesses never start, why you wish you had done something 40 years from now that you never did, and you start a business, but then you realize how much time is involved, and then you immediately fail. Okay, it's such an easy excuse to say, I don't have enough time. Money is an easy excuse too, to say, I don't have enough money to start a business, or the funds aren't there, or whatever. But really, you can start a business with just time. You don't necessarily need money, especially these days, okay, with the wonderful interwebs. Okay.
And there's a strong correlation between time and money, right? So trade your time for money. If you don't have a lot of money, work more towards the time. But even like Marc said, if you don't have a lot of time, start with something you're passionate about. So we spoke with Andrew last week about being passionate about what you're trying to do. And that's what's going to drive you to want to do this stuff more and more. So when we talk to you about time management, also consider doing something you really love and start your business with that in mind. That's going to motivate you to get past the whole I don't have time thing, right? So if, Marc, you want to kind of walk us through a couple of the steps?
Look, people say, like, I don't want to start, like, I really want to start an online cooking show and make my own book. I just don't have the time, right? I want to show my boss how it's really done and branch on my own, but they keep me so busy at work. It's hard to find the time. I want to learn how to use social media to get sales on my wife's Etsy site, but I don't have time to learn all of that. Okay, what we need to do is just like stop for a second and time out and reevaluate where you're spending your time and how you can actually spend your time to achieve your dreams. Your real life. We're not talking about your 9-to-5 job. We're not talking about your commute. We're talking about your real life and what it means. You will regret this, like, if you don't live your actual life. And it's important to take the time first to think about, reevaluate your life and think about what it means to you, what success means to you. And if it's getting out there on your own and starting your own business, then you need to reevaluate how you're spending your time. One of the first things you can do is take small steps. Okay, baby steps like seem so daunting at first, like, oh my God, there's so much to do. Like, in order to achieve my dreams of X, Y, and Z, like, I'm gonna have to do all these small steps along the way. And in the Army, we call them implied tasks, right? You want to achieve a certain end state, a certain goal. There's like 20 implied tasks that are there in order to achieve that end state or to achieve that goal. And you may become so overwhelmed that you're like, it's too much. There's no way. I don't have the time, right? I don't have the time to do that because it's just too much to do. But if you take one thing per day, even just one thing, and say, look, so that at the end of the night, as you're rolling over in the bed, you can ask yourself, what have I done today for my business? What have I done today for me and my hopes and dreams? And if you can take one thing and just baby steps, it can be much better. There's 365 days in the year. If you do one thing, that's 365 things that you've done for yourself, for your business. All right. Last year, if I grab myself from last year and I look at myself, right? I'm a publishing company. I'm an author. There are many things that I can do, right, throughout the year. Every day, I at least try to do one thing for my business. I carve out half an hour, 15 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, something, right, that I can do to further myself. if I were to revisit myself from last year, I would see a person that was like daunted, that was like, oh no, it's too much, overwhelmed. It's too much. Like I can't fathom how I can get to point B. Well, point B is right now where I'm sitting in front of you, right? And there's so many things that I've done over the course of this year to get to where I'm sitting in front of you, but they didn't happen in 24 hours. They happened over the course of a year, and I've been playing the long game. In order for you to do that, you need to take a long view and say, if I do all these many steps along the way, in a year from now, I'm going to look back on the year and be proud of what I've accomplished.
So let's take a pause real quick. Mark, what you said is extremely powerful. I want to remark on that real quick. So when you said at the end of the day, focus on what you could have done for your business. So if you tweak that just a little bit, you're going to get kind of a cyclical effect. So it's called Plan, Do, Check, Act, or PDCA. We talk about it a lot in Six Sigma. So PDCA, Plan, Do, Check, Act. There's also Plan, Do, Study, Act. There's a couple other things. My point is, at the end of the day, most people drive home from work. At the beginning of the day, most people drive to work. That is your opportunity to reflect on what you could have done better the previous day and have a plan in place to implement the next day. So you have a continual process improvement in the car in the morning. What could I have done to make yesterday a better day? Let me remember, let me act. Okay, the next day, did it work? Or that night, I should drive home. Did it work? Yes or no? What could I have done better? All right, let's do that tomorrow. That right there is how you're going to get better. So when Mark says, I need to get from point A to point B, when he got to point B, it's because he had this continual process improvement methodology down. He didn't just stumble upon sitting here in front of you. He had a plan in place. He had a vision, just like you have a vision. And as he was going through it in his mind continuously, on occasion or at a regular interval, he was saying, okay, what could I have done better? What do I need to do to get just a little bit further? You climb mountains one step at a time. And we say that, and it sounds cliche because it is, but you put one foot in front of the other, and that's how you do it. Easy breezy. That's how you do it. What could I have done better today? And then tomorrow, okay, what can I do today that will make today better than yesterday? Game on.
Yeah, I want to go to number 2. I think this is huge for everybody. Okay, stop binging. TV, streaming, Netflix, Facebook, YouTube, everything that you do on your phone. Okay, we're always looking at a screen, watching videos, sitting down on the couch. If you sit down on the couch and you're sitting thinking about what you could be doing otherwise, then you need to get up and immediately and go do that. Okay. If you add up all those hours that you spent on the screen or on the couch and you apply them to your hopes and dreams, you would likely achieve, guess what? Your hopes and dreams. It's amazing. Now, I'm not saying that you have to eliminate that, because we like our streaming. We like our Netflix. And sometimes it can be a family event and all that stuff. I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, I'm a purist, I don't watch TV. Like, I watch TV. Guess when I watch TV? After I've done all the things that I need to do, right? After I'm done working. I work 7 to 7 most days, teaching, and then go and teach at the college. And then I get home, I have dinner and all that stuff. And then I work some more until 10, 11 o'clock at night. And then I have my screen time. Then I have my fun. Then I veg out. And you know what I do? I'm going to say this. I don't like to admit this to anyone, okay? But I'm going to admit this to the world here, right? You know what I do? I play Civ. And you know what? I've learned more about business and managing from video games, PC video games, specifically Civ or StarCraft, Command & Conquer, and all that stuff. Yes, I sit down and I play a game and I watch a show at the same time, right? On my Kindle Fire in bed. And like an hour later, I turn off the game, I roll over in bed, and I fall asleep to a show, right? So it's not like I'm saying, stop, that I watch shows, I watch movies, right?
He's not a robot, people. He admits it.
Yeah. What I don't do is do that during the time that I should be working on my business, on myself.
I took that a little bit differently. So I said, as I read it, I think he means don't be a consumer.
Yes.
Don't be a consumer. whatever you do. So I remember, shout out to Ed. I remember a discussion. This was like impactful. This is one of those very casual conversations that we have in life and that sticks with you until your deathbed. Ed's conversation absolutely will. Just like having Red Atlas Shrug. Same
Who's
thing.
Ed?
Ed is a security engineer that I used to work with when I worked at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta's IT department. And we were trying to encrypt a bunch of hard drives for, Children's Healthcare of Atlanta so that, bad guys couldn't steal the personal data of a child who's going through chemo, right? So pretty noble thing, pretty shitty thing for someone to try and do. So Ed and I were talking, and we were talking about home alarm systems. It's really kind of a weird subject, but Ed, I was saying, hey, I bought this home alarm system. I'm going to have some guy install it. And he goes, why are you being a consumer? Why don't you be a producer? Why don't you make your own? Just get an Arduino, right? Just get a couple sensors. Just build it yourself. And I stopped and I thought, I'm like, why be a consumer? Why couldn't I be a producer? What's stopping me?
Yeah.
And I start going through the list, like you're going through the list right now of the things that people have told you. Why don't you just build that yourself? I start going through the list of, well, I don't know how to do this or that or this other thing. And I started to think, there's this thing out there called Google. And with the power of Google, you want to know the secret about IT? 100% of everyone who's successful in IT Googles the shit out of everything. They don't know how to do something. You're like on a help desk call and like, they're Googling it. They're Googling the freaking problem. That's what everyone does. No one knows everything. You don't go into a job interview in IT and say, well, I know IT. No, you don't. You don't know everything. When you want to become a producer over a consumer, you're not going to know everything. So what you're going to want to do is become knowledgeable enough to start producing. When Ed wanted to build his own home alarm system, he had to Google it and figure out, okay, how do I do X, Y, and Z? How do I solder these wires together? How do I buy the sensors that are going to tell me when the door opens? Same thing goes for you. Don't be a consumer, be a producer. And with the knowledge gap, use the freaking internet. Google it. Figure it out. You got this, right? Yeah. So when I read that second bullet point and it said, don't binge, what I heard is, don't be a consumer. Don't be caught up in consumerism and just consume and consume and consume and take and take and take, and don't produce anything and don't provide any value to anyone else. That's the difference between an entrepreneur and a regular person, a regular Joe off the street. An entrepreneur produces, and whether it's successful or not, that entrepreneur will continue to produce until they find something that is successful, because at the heart and soul of who they are a producer. So if you consider yourself an entrepreneur, at your heart and soul, you are also a producer. If you have questions or gaps, fill them. Google it. Figure it out. Make it happen. But that's the difference at the core. Number 2, when I read that bullet and it said, don't binge, watch, whatever else. Cool. It's great to unwind, do whatever. That's what I read. So there's a lot of great YouTube videos out there that are based off of off of movies, right? So there's CinemaSins. I love CinemaSins. Dude who runs CinemaSins, I love you.
I don't even know what that is.
CinemaSins. So whenever someone produces a movie and there's something in the movie that doesn't make sense, from
okay. I got you.
Why is it raining? It shouldn't be raining. That kind of nerdy shit. So he makes videos where he counts up the number of times a movie is fucked up, and he makes videos off of that. So what does he do? He loves consuming videos, but what does he do in return? He produces value, produces content as a result of his passion. That's exactly what we're freaking talking about, guys and gals. If you have passion, whether it be CinemaSins or whether it be movie continuity or something else, just produce off of it. And it's super easy. It's super, super easy.
Super easy. Now it is.
Yeah.
All right, look, number 3, stop procrastinating. Right? We do something crazy. We like roll around in our mind consciously and subconsciously. This pretty much started for like every American. It started with homework. We're subconsciously thinking about it in the back of our head, like, oh, that thing is due tomorrow. That paper's due tomorrow, right? And we're thinking about it. Even when we're in baseball practice, we're still thinking about it. We're batting the ball. We're thinking about, oh, we got the big science project due tomorrow. But we put things off. We say, oh, try again next week, or maybe tomorrow I'll fill out those forms for my DBA or whatever. But look, I mean, tomorrow is not guaranteed, and things come up. You should just do things now. One of the things I want to ask Daniel, I want to see if he does this. I think every human does this, but when we procrastinate, we build things up in our mind to be actually harder than they are, right? And then when you go to do the actual task, you're like, why did I wait this long? It's not even that hard. Like I've ruminated over this thing for weeks when I could have just done it 3 weeks ago and been done with it, and it would have been fine. Just stop procrastinating. It really helps you out. And if you get things done, guess what happens? You become addicted to getting things done. It's really great, actually. It's a really great way to be. You start to think, oh, there's tasks, more tasks accomplished, more tasks accomplished, right? It's like you're bopping that woodchuck that comes up. You're like, bam, 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 and you're just getting things done.
Whoa.
Time out.
If you're a member of PETA and you're offended by what Mark just said, put your comments below. Hey, trolls. Put your comments below. I want you to know I've seen Mark physically abuse, what was it, woodchucks you said?
It was woodchucks.
Beavers? You beat beavers? Woodchucks?
Beavers.
So if you are offended by Mark's beaver beating, put your comments below.
Gosh. Daniel, do you put things off and then make them much bigger than what they actually are?
So I think, yes, I do with everyone. So my wife will tell you straight up front, 100%. If I'm not committed, she's going to kill me for saying this. God, why am I saying this? I'm setting myself up for failure. If you're not passionate about doing something, you're not going to do it. That's the difference. That's why I think a lot of people procrastinate. I really think the education system sets us all up for failure in that way.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so there's two sides to every equation. There's a reason we do things. There's a reason the status quo exists. And for the education system, the reason it is the way it is, the reason you have to fucking learn geometry is because it's important. It's important to have a population who understands geometry and the Pythagorean theorem. Oh, geez. So the juice is getting to me. There's a reason we need to know this stuff. It is good to have a population that understands geometry and algebra and reading. And there's a reason you want a population who understands classic literature, like Huck Finn and, John Steinbeck. I hate John Steinbeck. John Steinbeck, if you're alive, I hate you. Now, if all these things come together, he's not alive, he's dead. Is he dead, Mark?
Yeah, man.
Good. Now, if all these things are not your passion, you're going to want to procrastinate them, right? And if you're passionate about something, you're going to do it. If you're not passionate about it, you're not going to do it. But it is good to have a population that understands some basic level of something. And that basic level of something is going to keep going up and up and up. The important thing is not to dilute it with, just filler stuff. But I remember the things that I am passionate about more than I wasn't passionate about. The best college course I took was me and a professor meeting in his office on every other Wednesday talking about South American politics in the 50s. And that's what I was into at the time. But that was also because what I was into, the thing I was studying and the thing I was wanting to research, and it just seems to work out. So find the thing you're passionate about, you'll procrastinate it a lot less. If you like Game of Thrones, if you like Twitter, if you like Facebook, and you find a way to produce content as a result of your passion, that's when you're going to really latch on to stuff. That's what it's going to click and it's going to make sense. If you're passionate about your family or your church or your drinking habits or your love of weed, I don't know. I don't care. But
you're a fishing net, man.
Or your fishing net. Why is there a fishing net, Mark? If you're passionate about things, you will pursue them. You will do them. You will not procrastinate. So find the things you're passionate about, pursue it, do it. Good stuff. Mark,
good job, Daniel.
Why the hell do you have a fishing net?
Well, it was there on my way back, and I thought it was pretty good. Grab onto your dreams,
So actually, incidentally enough, my thing before, so right now I'm working like 17-hour days, 6 days a week.
As long as you're talking,
not kidding, not trying to brag. Like if it wasn't for the copious amounts of caffeine and Red Bull flowing through my veins, I would be asleep right now on the ottoman behind me. But when it's like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and I'm finally crashing, I really enjoy watching spearfishing videos on YouTube.
Yes. Everybody's got their guilty pleasure. Daniel spearfishing. All right, look, number 4. I'm going to put the fishing net down since Daniel stopped talking. Okay, number 4. Look, make time for your family, make time for your business. People always say that, make time. And making time, you know what that means? It means make a conscious plan for your life. Like, think about it. How can I spend my days effectively? You know, if it means spending 1 hour, 2 hours on your business before binge watching Game of Thrones or whatever, then do that, okay? But consciously do it. So how do I spend my time? If I write it down and I put it on a calendar, that means I'll do it. If you're one of those people, then you need to do that. Write it down. Schedule out the time. You're not producing new time, okay? You're just consciously thinking about the time that you actually have. Making time is an interesting phrase. We can't actually make it. It just flies by, okay? And then you're old and then you have regrets, right? It just means constantly thinking about it, okay? Which leads me to number 5. Include your family into your business model. And look, in the old days, people would have, you know, farmers would have more kids and they would turn into employees on the farm, you know, farm hands, right? I'm not saying you should have more kids so you can create your t-shirt empire, right? That's not what I'm saying.
Hey, everyone who's against child labor and slavery. Just wanted to let you know, I do not agree with Marc's I agree with child labor and slavery comment. If you think you're offended, I want more child slavery comment. Put your comments below. Let Marc know that you hate him for loving slavery and loving child labor. Marc, I hope you enjoy all the trolls.
What I'm saying, though, is that you should have, you know, have your kids like help film your promo videos. Look, if you're a teacher and you want to branch out and create online classes, let your kids film you. You know, get them in the brainstorming sessions. I mean, I was telling Daniel that there's a book called Crushing It, and it's really good. And in that book, it talks about this father and son combo, and they made a YouTube channel. And what do they do together? They cut things open, and now they make hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know, people send them, Nike sent them their newest shoe that's not even out yet so they could cut it in half. A father-son, right? I mean, that's good quality time together that you'll never get back. So if you can include your children in your business in some way, guess what they'll learn? They'll learn a work ethic. Hopefully, if you have one, they'll learn one for sure. They'll see it in action. Saying have a work ethic to a child is different than showing them how to have a good work ethic. Like, show them what it means to follow your heart. They'll learn. You'll learn too. You'll learn new ways. You'll learn new visions for your business. And the quality time you spend together will far outweigh any other. It's not child labor, Daniel. All right? It's enterprise. It's legacy.
Yes, it's child labor. Trolls. Let them know.
Your kids are still young. So you haven't got
my kids are still young. So my kids are 4 and 2. But even then, like, you got to realize as an entrepreneur, like, you can't just live for yourself. You got to live for other people too.
Yeah.
Right. And some of the other people you got to live for are your kids. So you got to spend time with them. You got to nurture them. You got to help them out. And if you're passionate about being an entrepreneur, what better way to provide? Again, another way to provide is to show your kids what you're passionate about.
Number 6.
Read.
Yo, read. Okay. So many people say, I don't have time to read and learn new things. Or they say, I don't have time to read.
I don't have time to read.
I insert the parentheses and learn new things, because you're not learning anything new if you're not actually reading. Okay, because something different happens with your brain while you're actually reading and visualizing for yourself, rather than watching a screen. Something different happens in your brain. You're active. So many people say this. It's really exhausting. But do you commute? Like, if you commute, then you can listen to Audible. And there's other platforms like that where you can listen to books while you commute. You can listen to podcasts like ours, or you can just listen to how-to videos on YouTube. I do this so many times where, like, I'm not watching the video because cops would get mad, right? But I'm listening to the audio from YouTube through my Bluetooth speaker in my car, and I'm learning something along the way. Like, if there aren't any experts in your field, then you should be the one to write a book on whatever it is that you're passionate about.
Whoa, right? Time out 1 second.
What?
So here's something very, very important. A book costs like what, $20, $35, something like that, tops?
Less.
Probably.
Yeah.
So if you have the ability to buy a $20 or $30 book, what are you actually getting? Think about it. You are not the only person buying this book. There's a thing called a printing press. It does it millions. It prints millions of books at a time. So if you have the ability to buy a book and 20,000 other people have the ability to buy a book, and the publisher makes a certain fraction, but the author makes 10%, even that 10% on 20,000 books, you got to think about what kind of value are you getting from this book versus what you could get out of, learning it the hard way. You could be getting a very expensive course or a very expensive tutor or mentor. Business mentors are like $2,000 to $5,000 a month, or you could just buy a freaking book. And because that author could put their thoughts and words on paper and then sell it 100,000 times, they can spread that cost over 100,000 copies. So you could be getting something incredibly valuable for a very small fraction of the cost.
If you don't have any experts in your field, then you should be the one to write the book on whatever it is you're passionate about. In order to do that, you're going to need to read other types of books. Like if you want to, write a self-help style book, you need to read a bunch of self-help style books so you understand what the delivery is like, what the formatting is like, right? All right, look, number 7, create passive income streams along with your active business. We're gonna write and create a different video about passive income streams by itself. All right, but you need to think a little bit more openly about what your business means, and if there's any ancillary or side hustle type passive things that can go along with that. Let's go to the online gourmet chef, soon to be, right, that wants to make a YouTube channel and wants to make a cookbook. And what else could they have? If you open up your mind a little bit to say, what else could I make that I could do a lot of work up front to create, right? But then later on, it's just out there in the world for someone to stumble upon and buy while I'm sleeping, while I'm on vacation with the kids, while I'm at Disney World. Right? So if you can sell a course, a book, a t-shirt, or a mug along with your active business, whatever it is that you do, in this case it'd be cooking, right, on camera. And those also, that's passive, that's active while you're doing it, but it's very passive later because those videos, all that content, it's out there being rolled around into the ocean of the internet, and people are discovering you while you're not actually doing it.
And go in that direction. So if your t-shirt takes off, go in that direction. Don't shut it off because it's not your thing. It's successful. Do it. But Mark has a fantastic point. And as you produce, you develop these things, right? So this YouTube channel is passive income. So YouTube right now, I think you need 1,000 subscribers. It was 10,000 views, but now it's 10,000 subscribers that you need in order to be able to monetize your site, whatever, in any case. There's also other advertising streams. There's affiliate marketing. There's all kinds of passive income that you can research. But as you develop your product, consider these passive income sources to augment your mainstay, right? As I talk to Mark, as we're kind of just bullshitting around, we're developing a passive income source. Is it just YouTube? Maybe those who are viewing this on YouTube think so. Is this just a podcast? Maybe those who are also viewing this on our podcast think so.
You're listening.
We run this program of Mark and my voice through Dragon's voice recognition software, and we turn it into a book, which we will. Is it a book? Yes. So as a result of this one single conversation, what have I done? I've developed 3 passive income sources: a vlog, a podcast, and a book, right? So I have just taken the same amount of time, the same 10 seconds, 20 seconds of my time that I will never get back, but I found a way to multiply its efficacy, its effectiveness, its ability to produce income by 3, right? Think about that as you go through life.
Another way to triple your time is to batch projects and tasks. And Daniel can speak much more technically on this part. I can tell you that just last night, I'm going through all the entries for the Letters Never Meant to Be Read contest. And I have a process because, okay, I have all these entries. They come via email. I get other emails. I need to sort them, right? At the same time I'm sorting them, I'm also I'm reading some of them and engaging if they provided social media. So I'm doing them. I'm engaging with the ones that provide social media contacts, making sure that I'm reaching out to them. Like, I got your letter. I've also created, like, at the same time as I'm reading some of these that come through and understanding which ones are coming through, I create the automated message that goes out to all the people, right, at the same time. And then I have this little process, right? I'm getting them all in the same folder on my computer. It sounds small, but it's a whole, like, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, done with this letter completely. Next. And I go through all the steps like I'm on some kind of assembly line. Obviously, Daniels can speak more technically on this. Everything that I do, I try to create a process out of. And so it's a process to input the letters from the letters contest, right? To process them, but there's multi-steps in that process. So I batch this task so that tomorrow I'm not sending out the automated message. No, I did that when I processed all the emails. Tomorrow, I'm not uniforming all of the letters for when they go to judges. No, because I did that when I processed them in the first place. Because that was a part of, what did it mean to in-process those letters? It meant 5 things. And I did those 5 things, which were all related to processing those letters. Will save me time in the future so that I'm not doing one task at a time. And look, I mean, some people, they're like, oh, I multitask like a champ. No, you don't. Right? I wasn't
Screw you, multitasker. You're an idiot.
Multitasking last night would have been in processing all those letters and writing a new letter and setting up the next contest, right? And watching TV. Like, that's multitasking.
What would you have done? You half watched TV program, so you didn't get all the joy out of that. You half filled out a letter. You half did this. You quarter did that. You 1/10% did this. What did you get?
Nothing.
Did you get 100% of anything?
Nothing.
Does it take 100% of anything to get value from anything?
Yeah.
Boom! Boom! Yes.
Boom!
It takes 100% of something to get value out of that something.
At number 9, look, know when to hire out. We talked about this in some of our other posts. You have got to say, hold on a second. I'm not a subject matter expert in this part of my business.
Or better yet, say, fuck that. I'm not doing that shit.
I know. You know what? I know who is. JoeStudios.net. They can do all that stuff.
Seriously, a lot of our business comes from people that say, fuck that. I almost put a button at the bottom of my website as I was talking about, website development, search engine optimization, search engine marketing, blah, blah, blah. I almost put a button at the bottom of each screen that said, fuck it, do it for me. Because at the end of the day, is an author concerned about search engine marketing? They shouldn't be. If they're any good at, being an author, they should be focused on being an author.
Save yourself time. And we've talked about this before. It's really awesome? Being a customer. It's really awesome?
Being a customer is very cool. I'm learning that the hard way.
Being a customer, looking at your watch and being like, there's a deadline, fellas. Let's chop, chop.
What's the deal? You're late with that shit.
Right? It's hard to say that to yourself, right? Because you run into problems. But if you can be a customer and know when to hire out. Hey, this part of my business is really going to be done much better and much faster by a professional, and I can pay, some money. It'll be money well spent, and have a professional do it. And then guess what? You just bought yourself time.
Okay, so let's talk about 2 occasions that affect us, where our customers say, you know what, screw it, do it for me. So for you as a publisher, most of the people coming to you are saying, you know what, I've read this manuscript like 50 times. I can't think of anything else that's wrong with it. It's fucking perfect. I'm going to submit it to Mark. And Mark turns around, rips it a new one, sends it back with a whole bunch of red ink. Because you have looked at it so many times, you can't think of another way to look at it.
Yeah.
Whereas Mark has capabilities and staff on hand that can look at it from different perspectives that you can't. So send them your manuscript. On my side, you might be a fantastic gym owner, lawn maintenance technician.
No.
You might be a fantastic blogger, author, whatever, but you're not dedicated to search engine optimization, or you're not dedicated to search engine marketing, or you're not dedicated toward building a website. That's cool. That's not your thing. It's not supposed to be your thing. You're not supposed to be a jack of all trades. Be a subject matter expert. And that's when you hire out to someone else. So if you have those needs, come see me, josephstudios.net. We'll build you a fantastic website. We'll get you marketing. We'll get you sales leads. If you have a book and you're looking at the manuscript going, this is perfect. This is better than Lord of the Rings. This is better than War and Peace. It's not better than War and Peace. Nothing is better than War and Peace. If it's better than Atlas Shrugged, I keep bringing that up. That's a fantastic work. You're not better than Atlas Shrugged. Send it to Marc, and Marc will tell you, this is how you get it better than Atlas Shrugged. This is how you get it better than War and Peace. And you can be better than Tolstoy. You can be better than Rand, right? That's how you do it. Hire out.
Now, Daniel, now that we talked about knowing to hire out, now you can talk about number 10.
Number 10, cheat.
Cheat, Daniel.
There's a saying in the United States Special Forces, whether they admit it or not. Hey, trolls, why don't you tell me I'm not whatever. So there's a saying, idle threats. So there's a saying in Special Forces, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. And if you got caught, you weren't trying hard enough. Okay, so how do you cheat when it comes to time management? Marc?
We're all waiting for you to answer the question.
Okay, here's how you cheat when it comes to time management. So there's no cutting corners. At josephstudios.net, we don't cut corners, but we know what we're doing, and so we're able to kind of work around things, make some voodoo happen, that kind of stuff. That's the cool thing. That's what Marc calls cheating. So when it comes to cheating and time management, here's what you do. There's something called, and before you say, hey, Daniel, you're a guy I met on the internet. What are you doing talking to me about X, Y, and Z? So in another world, another life, I'm a project management professional. I'm a Lean Six Sigma black belt. I'm a Scrum certified professional, Scrum certified master. If you don't know what that is, you can look it up. So I've been living and breathing project management, which is delivering value full time for over a decade. That's who you're talking to right now. And when it comes to cheating and time management, there are a couple tricks that you can employ that big firms know about. The big four know about these. They're not telling you because it doesn't matter. It's a little bit on the detail. Some of the experts that cost $250 an hour, I cost $250 an hour. They're not going to tell you this stuff, right? Because it doesn't matter. They think it doesn't matter. But here's the secret. It's called value streams. So when you have a value stream in place, you want to shorten the amount of time it takes between you finishing the work and value coming from that work. And there's a few ways to do that. So you have your to-do list, and you're going to organize your to-do list by priorities. But don't just organize it by priorities. Organize it also by how quickly you can get value out of that thing that you do. So how quickly can I finish task A and then get value out of it versus how quickly can I finish task B and get value out of it? That's the key. Your key is to deliver value. It's to produce. It's to not consume. So if you have a giant task and that's task A, and you have a small task and that's task B, they're non-dependent, but you put A before B. Why? When B could be done and delivering value, and then you're working on A, you're getting value from B. And because you put B before A and you did it.
When I think of this, Daniel, I think of the low-hanging fruit.
Hanging fruit, yeah.
When I'm thinking of which projects to do next as far as like publishing and writing, and as an author even, I think, well, I could finish these 10 short stories, or I could finish this really long novel. If I finish the 10 short stories, I'll have a collection, I'll have stuff to submit or whatever. And that's kind of a low-hanging fruit to me because I'm almost done with all of these. So I can pluck that beast over here and then long game work this one. So that's what you're talking about, right?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. How quickly can you start returning value versus how long do you have to wait? And this is where Marc's comment about multitasking comes in. When you multitask, you don't finish anything. And you have to finish something in order to get value out of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
80%. No one's going to buy 80% of something. They want to buy 100% of something. I didn't buy 80% of an iPhone. What good does that do me? Nothing.
Doesn't
right? Apple finished that iPhone before they started selling it.
Yeah.
You should start finishing things before you start selling them, and you should take the small
So
things and put them up front.
some people have been doing this, that what you call value stream process.
So it's value stream analysis. It's also prioritization, pretty straightforward. And then it's just making sure that the things that bring you value first
You
or
do it
could
all
be
the time, right?
prioritized first
People do
happen
it all the
done.
time. It's just applying it to your entrepreneurship. It's applying it to your
Yeah.
business. Okay.
There's another thing that you should keep in mind. That's batching. Batching's bad. It's just as bad as multitasking. So if
Then why did you let me say it for number 8, batch products and tasks?
batch products and tasks. So if they're similar in nature,
Yeah, as
and
long as they're similar, right? I was
right.
talking
So,
about my letters example was similar because it's like,
but you only get value out of those letters when you publish a book.
yeah, but it's a way to finish. Yeah, but in order to publish that book, I have to go through a whole process from that letter being sent to me or me writing it, but that letter, more often that letter being sent to me.
Okay, what you're talking about is called switching cost. That's something to avoid. So switching cost is where you go from task A to task B. That's why multitasking sucks, right? Because you, for example, Mark and I were talking before the. Say again?
I'm not publishing the book at the same time. What I'm doing is like it comes in a letter, either physical letter or an email. Like I have
But
to.
you edit all the letters at once.
Yes, I do it. I do it all.
And you format all the letters into the book at once, right?
I format all the letters at once. I send out all the automated emails at once. Like there's.
So here's what Mark is talking about. So imagine you and I are hanging shelves, right? And we have a drill with a drill bit in it. We don't want to, because the value is having a bookshelf. We don't want to drill a hole and then put a screw in, and then drill another hole and put a screw in, because we're switching out the bits, right? If you think about it, we're switching out a drill bit for a screw bit, and then back and forth and back and forth. That back and forth is waste. That's time we could be spending on other things. That's time we could be spending on drilling all the holes at once and then putting in all the screws at once, because we're not going to get value out of whatever we're doing until the whole thing is done. In this case, a bookshelf. The bookshelf is done. We get value out of the bookshelf. So that's what Mark is talking about. Don't accept.
Two ago, when I said batch projects and tasks, I was using the wrong word.
Probably not. That was probably the right word.
Yeah.
There's a time and a place for everything. There's a time and a place for batching.
Batching is bad when you're talking about multitasking, so I just want to be sure.
Well, okay, so think about it from, so you and I walk in a Subway, right? And you order a sub, I order a sub. Batching in the bad sense is they make both of our sub sandwiches at the same time. You're one customer A, I'm customer B.
Yeah.
You're one value, I'm a second value. They want to get your value first and then my value second. They don't want to do the values at once, right?
So whatever process I have for, like, say, the letters, as long as I'm finished with that letter, it goes through a cycle. This happens, done. Next, this happens, done. Right?
As long as the done results in value.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, then we're good.
Value is not there when you click done, then you're batching in an incorrect way.
Yeah. And look, if it seems like we're getting technical here, it's just, hey.
I don't think we're getting technical here. I mean, this is stuff all of us go through.
Yeah. What I'm saying is use common sense, right? Use common sense and, like,
from the perspective of, when am I going to get paid?
Yeah. Try to take that low-hanging fruit. Try to work on something.
Whoever's going to pay you first, do them first.
Yep. Okay. Well, look, I mean, this has been the top 10 things to manage time. If you have anything to add or any other, tips and tricks to add to help manage your time for your business, please put in the comments below. If you hate us or you're otherwise trolly in that nature, hi trolls, go ahead and comment below. That'd be fine too. And we hope you got something out of this. Daniel, do you have anything to add? It looks like you're burning to add.
I'm burning to add a couple things about slavery and child labor. So if you were pissed off with Mark about his comments on slavery, if you are pissed off with Mark about his comments on child labor, if you are pissed off with Mark about his stance on chipmunks and beavers and whether or not he believes in beating his beaver, then I want you to put your comments below, because it's important to us to know your political and ideological stance on beaver beating. Was that good, Mark?
That's it.
That's good.
That's it. Have a good night. Hopefully this was fun. Say goodbye, Daniel.
Goodbye, Daniel. Bye, guys.
Bye.